Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And we're back with Series 6. And starting off Series 6, we're going with the impossible Astraunt. What better place than to start with the most mysterious and most intriguing Doctor Who story to date? Now, if you're wondering why I call it the most intriguing and most mysterious story, it's because it kind of starts all over the place. The Doctor invites his friends to Ohio in America. He finds himself enjoying a lovely drink down at a beautiful diner and then goes off down to one of the lakes to have a beautiful picnic with his mates. He begins to reminisce with Professor Riversong on their time and their journey together. The pair of them begin to joke about Jim the Fish and their picnic at Asgard, two events that Amy and Rory aren't currently fully aware of. It's quite clear that the Doctor and River have a diary that they've been keeping and have been going back and forth ever since. Whilst down at the lake, however, Amy believes herself to see something mysterious up on top of the hill, and that's when their entire situation gets turned on its head. An astronaut begins to emerge from the lake and the Doctor runs down but tells everyone to stay back. The astronaut then raises its glove towards the Doctor and shoots him down dead. That's right, who said you can't kill your main character in an episode? Not Doctor Who, that's what. But yeah, essentially the Doctor finds himself being shot down dead and his companions then put him in a boat after a man named Canton Delaware III turns up with a bunch of diesel to light the boat on fire to make sure that no alien being can get a hold of the Doctor's body. The Doctor at this point in time is pronounced dead, and Canton Delaware seems to have more on his mind than the current affairs, as if there's something waiting in the dark for the group that they just don't know yet. When they return to the diner, River begins to remark about the fact that they all got a envelope with a number on it. Also in this episode, we watch the Doctor keep jumping back and forth between frames in different historical films. But back to the diner. River suddenly finds a number 1 on the counter and then begins to ask the guy over the counter who was in there. Now the guy over the counter, of course, who most probably changed shift between each part in this story, doesn't know who the Doctor is, so he just says there was some guy. All of a sudden, the Doctor comes out of the back of the diner, out of his police box, with a straw for his milkshake. Riversong then slaps him round the face and he begins to get annoyed because he doesn't know what's just happened. He doesn't know that they've just seen him die. They then begin to question his age and he then points out that he's a lot younger than the version they had seen from the future. Now, he doesn't know at the moment about his future self, but he knows that quite clearly whatever's just happened to them was so severe that he deserved a slap. The Doctor and the group then suss out that whatever's going on is very dangerous. River tries to hide the fact of what's just happened because the Doctor is younger than the one they met on the beach, and telling him too much about his future could make him not want to continue. However, the Doctor soon finds himself hooking onto the timelines and realizing that there is a little girl out there who suddenly seems to be calling up the President. This is where Canton Delaware III comes in. We find ourselves in the White House at the time of John F. Kennedy and find ourselves in a situation in which this individual who is a top FBI agent is very interested in why a little girl who seems to be somewhere in New York has called a bunch of top officials about a spacesuit that she claims is trying to eat her. The President at first passes it off as just a hearsay, but the Doctor walks in and almost gets his head shot off when he points out that quite clearly there is something going on here. Canton Delaware begins to give the Doctor the benefit of the doubt. Now, it's quite unsure whether the Doctor had met him previous to this event, but it's quite clear that Canton Delaware was expecting something of this mass to happen, especially after all the weird goings on with this whole phone call. Whilst this is all going on and the Doctor begins to get his maps, Amy goes to the toilet to try and cool off, but when she gets there, a mysterious being begins to ask her to forget. The American woman in the White House believes this being to be something out of Star Trek and to be playing around, but then gets killed on sight by this creature. She then leaves the room scared to death of the creature, but manages to take a quick glimpse of it on her phone. Even though it keeps trying to make her forget, there is quite clearly something in the back of her mind telling her that she needs to remember. They then finally track down the warehouse in where the spacesuit is located. River does a scan on the suit and soon realizes that the child literally forced its way out of the spacesuit. River and Rory then go down into the catacombs to discover a giant silent ship. Yes, that's the name of the monsters in this story. Now, the Silents seem to be hiding underneath the sewers and have some control over the spacesuit. Now, it's not quite clear their current intentions, but it's quite clear that they are a very cryptic species, and every time that River or Rory looks away, they just kind of become very confused. This is due to some form of perception filter that allows the beings to be there, but not acknowledged at the same time. They eventually manage to catch up to the spacesuit and find it begins to hunt them down in the warehouse. Amy becomes very scared and then tells the Doctor that she's pregnant, and then that's when the whole situation becomes 10 times more terrifying for the audience. We are left with the heavy footsteps of the spacesuit and the lifting of their helmet as we watch the little girl stare down Amy with terror. It seems like the spacesuit has captured her once and for all, and Amy, out of whatever reason of her own will, begins to shoot at the spacesuit. So, the impossible astronaut. A very cryptic story with a lot of back and forth. What did I think of this first half of the two-parter? I think this is a very interesting story, and I like that we don't get all the answers straight away. I always watch the end of The Impossible Astronaut and feel an absolute gut-wrenching kind of goosebumps. It's that kind of dark mystery that really gets you to the core. And that's why I give this story a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, you beautiful people.